I'm curious, in terms of the plea deal potentially being thrown out, this last-ditch effort, how likely is that to happen?
It's probably unlikely that the plea deal will be thrown out because judges are simply very reluctant to do that. If prosecutors and a defendant have reached an agreement, judges typically are reluctant to throw that out and change their minds, even as this obviously, Adrienne, is a very, very unique case, including this attempt by Republicans to get the whistleblower evidence considered as part of the plea deal.
Yeah, it's messy. I'm curious what the perception in D.C. is. Is it that the White House isn't going to waste their time with rumor, or is that they are indeed distancing themselves from Hunter's legal issues, especially when his former business partner is set to testify this week, reportedly saying that then Vice President Biden was on at least 24 of Hunter's business calls?
So obviously, I take your point about asking what the atmosphere is like in D.C. In some ways, I think D.C. is the worst place to ask that about because it is so polarized. And a lot of people who are talking about this case are frankly engaging in it from a partisan perspective. So you have liberals, including in the media, saying, oh, there's nothing to see here. And you have conservatives saying, you know, the world is going to fall and there's obvious evidence of corruption on the president's part. I don't think either of those things is true. I think Hunter Biden is plainly shady, very much so. I mean, he was getting 50 grand a month from Burisma with no expertise in that area. No one's ever offered me 50 grand a month for something that I know nothing about. On the other hand, there has not been, to my mind, convincing evidence of corruption on the president's part.
Well, there's
always tomorrow, Adrienne.
There's always tomorrow. But I mean, remember, Burisma is a Ukrainian organization. We are fighting a war in that country. There are some people who are trying to connect those dots. You mentioned the president. There's no evidence of the president having any wrongdoing. But why then has the word impeachment been floated around for the past several months? Have Republicans said exactly what the president could be impeached for?
Not very specifically, but the idea is these allegations of corruption. Now, those are things that the White House pushes back very strongly against. The importance of impeachment right this second, Adrienne, is that Speaker Kevin McCarthy is pushing the idea of impeachment proceedings. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean that there are going to be articles of impeachment filed tomorrow or the next day. What McCarthy is talking about is a series of hearings giving Congress the power to investigate whether there are grounds for impeachment. And the Republican argument is those investigations might produce these specific calls that your question was referring to.
Inquiry leading to substance. Should former President Trump and Hunter Biden be compared because of how they're being treated in the justice system?
Oh, how long do we have for that question? There is, I think, suspicion on both partisan sides about politicization and unfair treatment. And I think the key question is always, would a private citizen be treated in the same way as either of these figures? My personal view is that depends on the case. You look at President Trump, former President Trump being indicted in Manhattan. I'm not at all convinced a private citizen would be indicted for that. You look at the Mar-a-Lago case, a private citizen would clearly be indicted for that behavior, and if it is proven, there would be serious sanctions. Hunter Biden's case is about the specifics of tax evasion and this gun charge. Rather complicated. You could debate that one either way.
Yeah, but clearly there are a lot of people saying private citizens would certainly go to jail for his charges, the charges that he faced. Something else from the White House really quickly, just because my producers and I discussed. Go ahead. Go ahead, Niall. You're passionate.
Well, not for misdemeanor charges, though. I mean, that was the point that your previous guest was making. His argument was that another person would be charged with a more serious offence. People wouldn't typically go to jail for this offence.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.